Amazing. Tom,
Hello.
great to see you.
Lovely to
And
see you.
thanks so much for
Julian.
taking the time out.
It's my great pleasure.
Can you
What
tell
a
everyone
gorgeous setting.
it's not the worst weather,
Yeah, it's
to be
better than a
honest.
poke
Yeah,
in the eye.
exactly. Yeah. Can you tell everyone your name and occupation?
Yes, I'm Tom Reed Wilson, and I'm an actor, a presenter, and a writer.
And where are you from?
I'm originally from Pangbourne in rural Berkshire, which looks a little bit like a smaller version of this. It's really the town where The Wind in the Willows is set.
It actually was set.
It was
there?
set there
Wow,
by Kenneth
okay.
Graham, yes, and it looks like this, but this is a slightly augmented and perhaps fractionally more glamorous version.
Larger.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's that point halfway between Oxford and London where the Thames is starting to fatten up a bit.
Yeah. Who or what inspires you?
Oh gosh, the arts endlessly inspire me. I always think that the arts are the sort of crystallization of humanity at its best, that the audience in the theatre are sending out a wonderful kind of laser beam energy from their wishbones, and the actors are doing the same. And in the middle, art is created, and it's true in galleries, and it's true at the ballet and at the opera, and especially seeing a play. Those interpretive powers are part of it, and the art wouldn't exist without it. I think that's when you see how beautiful humanity is.
I agree. 110%. Where were you 10 years ago?
Where was I 10 years ago? What would I have been then? 27. I was a struggling thespian, still in this wonderful city, in Stockwell in South London, having a ball, but as my dad would say, living off the smell of an oily rag.
It's not easy.
He was very tickled by my penury.
But the same for musicians, I think. Just
tough. Oh, yeah, everybody.
A tough gig.
Everybody in the arts.
Where would you like to be in 10 years' time?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. You know, I think I've learned from the last 10 years, funnily enough, that planning sort of gets you nowhere in the arts specifically, because it doesn't have the same trajectory as other professions like law or medicine. You know, you don't climb a prescribed ladder.
Absolutely.
It can take a sharp left turn.
There's luck as well.
Yes, and so in a way, I don't forecast. I just make myself be very open and upbeat about whatever lands on the desk.
And that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Just like this. That's why I said yes.
What is your greatest love?
Oh, I think my Sproglets, when all's said and done. I've got 3 heavenly nephews who are 8, 3, and 1. 3 divine godchildren who it's cleft my heart in twain, but they've just emigrated to Canada.
Oh, wow.
And then 1 little baby godson who's still in London. So I'm very, very spoiled to have them.
So lots of trips to Canada planned.
Yes, I'm going to become thoroughly transatlantic.
It's amazing. I love Canada.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
You'll have a ball. Where in Canada are they?
They are near Toronto.
Okay.
In a suburb called Oakfield.
Okay.
Which I gather is very pretty and very easy to get to the city. And I'm thrilled it's adjacent to that city, because again, it's so rich in the arts.
Yeah.
And so many things that are out of town in preparation for Broadway are there, because it's only an hour by plane.
So, Canadian residents soon.
Oh, from your lips to someone's ears, Julian.
What's your greatest fear?
Cynicism.
Okay.
It's curiously addictive being cynical, and it's often mistaken for intelligence. You know, it's harder to be a cockeyed optimist and sound.
I'm buying that domain name. That's a great .com. We'll split it.
Well, it's one of my favorite lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein. When the sky's a bright canary yellow, I forget every cloud I've ever seen. So they call me a cockeyed optimist, immature and incurably green.
Bravo.
I love that lyric.
Bravo.
And he was a cockeyed optimist.
I'm buying that domain.
I think
yeah.
I think it was probably his most autobiographical lyric.
I assume it's gone, you know, the domain.
Oh, cockeyed optimist.
Yeah, yeah.
I
We'll
don't know.
check as soon as we finish
Yes,
this.
let's check
We'll have
as soon
joint
as we're
ownership,
done.
okay?
Yes.
It was a joint idea.
It's nice to come out of the interview with a smidge
Exactly,
of homework.
yeah. If you could spend a day with any author, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh gosh. I'd love to pick George Bernard Shaw's brains because he seems such a progressive, you know, Mother Courage and Pygmalion. I think that he was incredibly liberal, incredibly modern. Writers like Oscar Hammerstein used to fantasize about adapting his work for musicals because it was so lyrical and so musical. I'd love a day with him.
He's the guy.
Mm.
This is a tricky one.
Yeah.
If you had to spend a month on the International Space Station with 3 celebs, who would you pick?
Living or dead? Or
I hope they're
living.
not. I hope they're not dead on the space station. You can't.
I don't want corpses.
Yeah, there's no door to open to bring out your dead. That would be tricky.
Okay, so
yeah, we'll have to go for alive.
I would have. Oh gosh, I think I'd have to have Legends of Broadway. I'd take Judi Dench because she's so much fun and such a darling and so naughty and so twinkly.
You've met her?
Yes.
She must be fab.
Heaven. I'd take Julie Andrews because then I'd have all the tales of Broadway about her meeting Maria Callas and backstage at My Fair Lady, and oh God, that would be heavenly. And then so we've got a great Shakespearean, a great Broadway diva. I need something else, a juxtaposition. Oh, they're all dead. All my favorite people.
That's fine. We can.
Can I take Ella Fitzgerald? I'd have one resurrect.
I think you're going to want to stay up longer than a month.
Yes.
Would you be like Tom?
Yes, I wouldn't be coming home.
Tom, you have to come back. We're running out of food. What were you like as a kid?
Much the same, which is an awful thing
just
to say.
Shorter.
Must have been rather precocious. Yes, just shorter. I think the joy for me, Julian, was that I was much the same and was rather embarrassed about it for a very long time. And then I think in my mid-teens, I had a kind of a quiet epiphany where I realized that if I started the celebration of all my idiosyncrasies and quirks, then maybe a few people in my orbit would follow suit. And so I did start to do that. And I think that was when I sort of enjoyed being an oddity a bit more.
You're definitely not an oddity.
Well, I think perhaps I'm a true eccentric insofar as the etymology of that word, it comes from the Greek ekkentron, meaning out of the center. And I do sort of live my life a little bit out of the center.
Which is great.
Which I
more of this
lovely.
We need, you know.
Yes, I think it's rather lovely to be out of the nucleus and live in a dotty old orbit.
I came from a life of religion. Like my parents were very religious, Catholic, Italian, Welsh Italian.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to 16, where I could kind of make my own way, I had waist-length long hair, nose chain, wanted to be a rock star in LA. I couldn't sing or play any instrument, so that's why I picked up a camera. But I mean, you shouldn't. I think one strength is not worrying what other people think, ever.
Yes,
It's
that
tricky.
is. I think
It's
if
trickier
you
if it's
can,
family.
if you can get that, I haven't got that, but if you can get to
Really?
that, it's
Really?
like a superpower, isn't it?
You shouldn't care. You shouldn't. Who would play you in a movie?
Oh golly.
It can't be Julie Andrews because she's still on the ISS.
Yes, she's up there. I don't know. It would have to be somebody androgynous, probably somebody English. I really don't know. People will have to suggest.
Okay, yeah, people can
In the
suggest.
comments.
They can. Your favorite destination?
Oh, that's very hard. I just come back from Paris because I was there for the very rump of the Olympics, and I saw breaking and I saw cycling at the velodrome, which was fabulous. And I always leave a little tranche of my heart in Paris when I go there. I used to nanny a little French boy called Gabriel, and one year I was sent to convey him back to his mum in Paris. His dad lives in London. 4 times in a year, and I had 4 long weekends in Paris, and it dazzled me. I was in my early 20s, and it was just an assault on the senses, and I'd love to spend more time there.
It's an incredible city.
I love
Yeah.
it, so I know
Yeah.
you do too.
Yeah. Least favorite destination?
Least favorite. There are places that I don't have much interest in going to. I mean, I don't think I'd like to go to Las Vegas very much. Places that have a big carbon footprint and a very sort of plastic.
I got married in Vegas.
Oh, did you? I mean, musically,
Yeah,
I love
no, for
it.
sure.
I'm mad about Elvis, and I love everyone that's ever played there. Celine Dion, the whole gamut. So, from an artistic perspective, I love it. But I like places that have history and a juxtaposition of architecture and nature. Really.
What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? Oh, I have some very, very funny chums who really know where my tickle bone is. My
Ticklesome chums.
ticklesome chums. I mean, who can live without them? My friends Julian, James are wildly funny, and you know, and I'm lucky enough to know a few comedians from my work. I mean, Rob Beckett has me on the floor. Catherine Ryan has me on the floor.
We just saw her in Dubai.
Really?
Yeah, Catherine.
Oh, did she tour there?
No, yeah, she did. No, she did one date at the Opera House.
Oh, I say.
Fab. She's.
Oh, the theatres there are
she's
marvelous.
so sharp.
I was telling you about my little spell in
Madinat,
the Madinat Theatre playing the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Hopelessly typecast.
It's a great city.
It is
very
again,
misunderstood.
for the arts, yeah.
And what makes you cry?
Very surprising things make me cry. Injustices make me cry, which is a bit more obvious, but sometimes beauty makes me cry. Sometimes a piece of art or a piece of music or a play that's so exquisitely crafted that I'm sort of dumbfounded by it. I'll find myself leaking liberally.
Yeah, we'll on that note.
Not from every orifice, I hasten to add.
What's the last gift you gave someone?
Well, I have developed a habit of giving fewer material gifts and gifting experiences, if you like. So I gave a machine gun volley of theatre trips to my little nephews.
That's a great idea.
We saw There's a Monster in My Show at the Riverside Studios, not very far from here. Zog and the Flying Doctors at Cadogan Hall. And then I took the older one to see MJ the Musical because he's dotty about his whole back catalogue. So
That's far more memorable than a gift.
I think
you know,
so. I
a
think
tangible
what
gift.
happens then, Julian, is that those experiences together become bonding experiences, and they are indelibly seared on the mental retina for all concerned. So
I'd rather
it's
somebody
lovely.
give me a ticket to a musical concert, a gig.
Yeah,
I mean, back in the day,
yeah.
than anything
any gift.
tangible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I'm so with you.
What was the last book you read?
The last book I read was Tallulah Bankhead's autobiography, which was absolutely brilliant and totally outrageous,
Not
considering
a
it was
surprise.
published in 1951.
I'm going to pick that up.
It's very good.
What was the last movie you watched?
The last movie I watched was
As long as it's broadcastable.
oh yes, it is, because it was with the nephews. It was Bad Boys 4.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be my personal
Not
pick?
seen it.
But
Probably won't.
It's
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
It was
But for the kids.
it was very well cast. The voice acting was tremendous.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah.
And come rain or shine, it's an iced Americano, because I've got this curious theory that in the bleak midwinter, it makes you feel like the coldest thing, and therefore makes the air around you feel warmer.
Ooh.
Well, I've got a little wasp friend. Hello. And in the summer, it cools you.
Okay.
So it seems to kind of run the gamut.
I'm going to try. Urban or rural?
I have to have both. I suppose ultimately I always pick urban because I need to be near the theatre.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, I sort of a bit of a rejection junkie, so I do like a cat for that. I am an ailurophile.
Oh yeah, we spoke of that earlier.
Yes.
And I didn't know, which is shocking.
No, I mean, it's such a curious word, because I mean, canophilist, which is the dog version, has a bit of canine in it, but ailurophile has some obscure Greek root, so you wouldn't recognize
But
it.
having an embarrassingly large amount of cats, I should know that.
Well, now you know forever.
I used to boast back in 3 or 4 years ago, we had 6 cats with 3 eyes between them.
Oh.
That was my show off, you know.
Were they rescued?
All rescue. Every cat we have
love
is rescued.
that. I love
they're all
that.
rescued. Any regrets?
I don't think so, because there are things that one sort of wishes hadn't happened, and there were considerable bumps in the road.
Of course.
But I think ultimately life is a great game of contrast, isn't it? I don't think you'd realize what elation was if you hadn't had a upset.
Journey and destination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite.
100%. The closest you come to death?
Oh God, there was one time. My father is an intrepid adventurer, and we were at Kimmeridge in Dorset, and he went off with my sister over these sort of boulders around the cliff edge, and I was trying to follow behind rather gingerly, and my grandma, who couldn't have possibly at that stage traversed the boulders, stayed behind, and I fell between two and got wedged upside down with my legs kicking out.
What age were you?
I think I was probably 7.
Oof.
And the tide was coming in,
wow.
and it was washing my hair, and my dad was way off, and I was. It sounds ridiculous and hokey, but it's absolutely true. I was rescued by a shepherd with a crook.
Of course you were.
I was.
Of course.
And I was fished out, and I could see my grandma through a tiny crevice, and she said, "I'm so sorry, I can't get over to you."
Wow.
So
we're glad you survived.
Thank you.
We're glad. If you had a boat, what would it be called?
Well, I'm going to pinch my dad's boat name, because he has a boat called Footloose.
Great name.
And it was sort of his retirement present, and is short for Footloose and Fancy Free.
Amazing.
Because he suddenly was, after a life of very hard work.
Amazing.
And I think it's lovely.
Finally, a message, words of wisdom?
Well, we touched upon it, but I think that paths in my industry especially, but in all walks of life, only make sense retrospectively. So I think therefore the answer in life is to brightly, breezily, dynamically, zestfully approach everything that you're offered and given, because it might not be what you'd forecast or what you'd chosen, but it will end up defining that path retrospectively, and you'll be glad for having had that outlook, I think.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Tom, you're a star.
Oh,
Thanks
it's
so
been a
much.
great pleasure.
Awesome. Let's go and have a glass of wine.
Let's.
Yay.